Yo guys, it's slyroh. You already know that today we are recapping week 9 of my 2025 video game backlog journey. Link in the description if you need a full explanation as to the series and why the games that are here are the ones that are on it. But yeah, my weekly journey continues as another week went by, and another week I played more games for my backlog. So, as always, I'm going to go ahead and recap the previous week, then dive a bit deeper into each of the games that I played this past week, and then I'll give a little preview for what I expect for the week ahead. So I'll start this off with my mental state has been so much better. I went and just sort of like personal life stuff. I went to an escape room on Saturday, and that was super fun. We went out to dinner afterwards as well. And overall, just getting out of the house and doing something different really did help my mental state tremendously, as well as other things. And like I said, I've been continuing to just sort of work on, more structure to my life, and it's been very good. The other note I wanted to say is this is actually being recorded on Thursday, 2 days before you're seeing this video, because on Friday, so yesterday as you're seeing this, I'm going to a concert, which is like 3 hours away. So a lot of my Friday is going to be dedicated to driving and going to a concert, and then my Saturday morning is also going to be dedicated to driving back home. So that is super exciting, but as a result, there's one less day in this recap compared to some others. So let's go ahead and move on to the video games that I did play. As we left off last week, I was in the process of Ghost of Tsushima and Ori and the Blind Forest, and I don't remember exactly what I set up, what I, said I was going to do, but I did put considerable effort into finishing Ori and the Blind Forest, and I did exactly that. I was able to do that by, like, Sunday morning, actually, so that was really exciting. So those 11 hours are getting taken off of this. We still have 1,146 hours of playtime left to go, which isn't entirely accurate because I did not hit 11 hours on Ori and the Blind Forest. I actually beat it in about 6.5 hours, or maybe close to 7 hours. So that was really exciting, and I will dive more into my thoughts on that game. And then otherwise, I've been putting a more considerable effort into putting more time into Ghost of Tsushima, because I keep seeing this length of like 46 hours, and I'm like, man, I'm not even halfway there. I might actually be about halfway now. But usually I'm only putting like 2 to 3 hours a week in, maybe 4 hours at most, like a week. And that's like a reason that like I haven't really made considerable progress on Ghost of Tsushima. So I have been making more of an effort to make my play sessions with it longer, and as a result, I only picked up one more game this week, so I've only been juggling 2 games this week. And and I also the spreadsheet, I moved Fable Anniversary Edition to the Xbox section because I decided that I'm going to play it on that because I feel like it. And it's available on that as well, even though I have it on Steam. I just think that I would prefer to play it on Game Pass. So I moved that around, and I did install it, but I did not start playing it. Instead, what I started playing was Jak 2. I got a comment on one of my earlier videos of this from somebody that said they'd be interested in my thoughts on Jak 2. And so that was in the back of my mind. I saw all of these PlayStation games, and I'm like, you know what? I should go ahead and, pick one. I still have a few platformers as well, so that also sort of matched the criteria there. And so yeah, that was the only game that I started this past week. There were no new game releases of note. And there shouldn't be this upcoming week either. I might be wrong about that, but we shall see. But yeah, that is the only thing that's happened is I finished Ori and I started Jak 2 and I made some more progress on Ghost of Tsushima. So that's all there is, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I'm just going to immediately move on to the next section, and I will go ahead and expand on my thoughts on the games that I played this week. I'm actually going to start off with Ghost of Tsushima because I don't have a ton more to say. I have noticed that, like, the game, it's not like the game is dragging on per se, but I do catch myself sort of being like, oh, let me just do like 2-3 missions and then just like stop, whatever. And I'm not really making like considerable progress doing it that way. So I'm still really enjoying the game. But there's also just like quests literally everywhere I go. But I don't know. At the same time, I actually feel like the section that I'm at now, a lot of the quests are starting to disappear. I actually finished one quest line, Yuna's quest line actually, and I only have like 2 steps left from like one of the others, and then like there's just a couple of like minor things I need to do, and then I think it's just going to be some more main missions until like the next section opens up. So I do think I'm on the cusp of getting to like a next section of the game. I kind of have my gear like already set. I keep getting like these new charms, and like for the most part I'm not really equipping them. Like I kind of just have my build, my flow, and it's still a lot of fun, and still very good. So nothing like new to report per se, but I am sort of starting to feel the effects of, oh, I've been playing this game for like a month now. Like this is, let's kind of pick up the pace a little bit. So that's the only thing that's really changed, is my attitude on that. Now I will go ahead and talk about Ori and the Blind Forest, because I love this game. I just straight up love this game, and I'm so glad that I played it. I had some time Saturday night to put into it, and then Sunday morning I had a few more hours, and I was like at the last section, and so I just beat it. Something to note is I did mention, I was like, oh, I haven't really had to look stuff up. Literally immediately as I went to play, I like could not figure out where I needed to go because I didn't remember where the game wanted me to go. And so I did have to look up some things a couple of times. But the few times that I did look things up, I was already in the right direction. So I think the lesson for this week is I just need to trust myself more, and continue to not feel like I need to look up answers and directions, and like actually give myself a chance to explore further. I still feel like Ori and the Blind Forest, in terms of Metroidvanias that I have tried out, I still feel like this is the one that I have been able to do the most progress just with myself and without, relying on a guide. On the flip side, I did play the entire game without ever getting the dash ability, so I thought that was going to be coming like later in the future, and then before I realized it, I was like, oh, I think I'm in like the final area. Hey, I never got that dash ability, and then I did look it up just to be like, what's the deal with that? And to get that, I would have had to travel back to a previous area and then go to a different direction, which I did not remember, just, I guess, across multiple play sessions, and just not really thinking about it. I was like, I kind of thought that I had explored most of the areas that were available to me, and I didn't really think to check everywhere that I've been before, and then go in different directions. But on the flip side of that, I didn't really feel like I needed a dash. I mean, I didn't feel like the game would have been like way easier if I had it. Maybe I would have moved a little bit faster, but there's a lot of precise platforming that I'm not sure that a dash would have helped. So, like, I don't know. On one hand, it's like, oh, that sucks, I missed it. But on the other hand, I was like, I still loved the game regardless. I love the art style. I love the story, the ending, beautiful. I mean, I can only sing nothing but praises for this game. And I only have like the most minor of like nitpicks anytime I do try to think of a negative. So yeah, I definitely stand by. This is a pretty accessible Metroidvania in terms of the exploration and directions. There's not too many like areas that you can get super lost in. The areas themselves aren't very big per se, and I feel like the map is pretty detailed in terms of like where you can go. So I do like that. That's not to say that the game is easy, because there is a lot of precise platforming. There is a few challenges that, are pretty difficult, and I found myself having to replay certain sections sometimes a dozen or more times. But that's all part of the fun of the game. I like a good challenge, and even though sometimes at the moment it can be frustrating, a lot of times when you complete that challenge, it's very rewarding on the other side. So that is how I feel about Ori and the Blind Forest, and I've only heard that Ori and the Will of the Wisps is even better. So eventually, whenever I play that, I'm very, very excited to see how that stacks up, because I already have a very high opinion of Ori and the Blind Forest. So that was a very good decision by me to play the game, and I'm very glad that I did. And yeah, that kind of wraps up my thoughts for that. So now I guess I'll get into a little bit of the new game for the week, Jak 2. So why is Jak 2 on the list? Well, to get into that, well, let's go ahead and give you guys a little bit of backstory about myself in terms of my relationship with the Jak and Daxter series, which is I did not exactly grow up with them. So like when they came out in like the early 2000s on the PS2, that is not when I played them. I believe it definitely was after the PS3 came out. But I still had a functioning PS2. I remember going to GameStop and they used to, have these like buy like 2 used games, get a third one free or whatever. And I'm pretty sure on that day, I walked home with Sly Cooper, the first one, Jak and Daxter, the first one, and then like a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game or something like that. And that definitely was when the PS3 was out. If I had to guess, I think I probably was around like 18, 20, we're talking maybe like 2010, 2011, 2012, like whatever. So this is still like, 10 to 15 years ago in that time frame, but not like when they released like 20 plus years ago. at the time, it took me a little bit to get into Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy. That is the first game. But after, giving it a couple of attempts, I did play through that whole game, and I really enjoyed it. I think I either bought Jak 2, or I do remember on the PS3, I bought the Jak and Daxter collection. However, I did not have it for that long before it got lost or stolen from me. A part of me thinks that I did have a disc of just the second game, though, but maybe I'm misremembering that. But either way, Jak 2, I do vaguely remember me turning it on, playing like 5 minutes of it to get a feel for like what it is, and then just like never playing it again. And I forget if that is because I lost access to the game or if I just moved on to something else. I don't really know. But to circle it back to my thoughts on this game, Jak 2, I feel like does a really good job of starting to create its own identity. When it comes to the first Jak and Daxter game, I remember when I played through it, this is made by Naughty Dog, which is the same people that made Crash Bandicoot on the PS1. Crash Bandicoot is a series that I grew up with. And with the first Jak and Daxter game, I always kind of felt that they didn't really do anything with the first Jak and Daxter game that couldn't have been done with Crash Bandicoot. You could replace Jak and Daxter with Crash Bandicoot, and I feel like almost nothing in the game would need to change. You have your spins, you have your slams, like these are abilities that Crash Bandicoot can do. And so I just felt like, it's a good game, but it didn't really have as much of its own identity. Jak 2, I definitely feel like is establishing its own identity. And I knew that I had been told that Jak 2 is, very different from the first game in a lot of ways. And I agree to an extent, but also it still feels like the core is still there. Like Jak's movement still feels very much the same, and that's a good thing. But they started to add a few more elements. Now you're in a different dimension. You're in like this city. You like drive. You can take cars like Grand Theft Auto style, but they're like hovering, these like hovercrafts, and you use that to get from like mission to mission. So that is like different. I also recently unlocked a gun, so I just like have a gun now. And I mean, technically Crash Bandicoot did have a gun in like the third game, but like that was different. And it also shot Wampa Fruit, not like gun. So that is a thing. And also Jak now talks, so that's new. And he doesn't just talk, he's like an angry boy, and I don't know if he's always like that or if that's just because a result of the opening cutscene where he's like he's basically like captured and put in this lab, and he's like being fed a lot of this like dark eco energy or whatever. So I don't know if that's having an effect on his personality or if he's always going to be like that moving forward. I don't really mind either way. It's nice to see Jak have a voice and an attitude and opinions. That is really cool. Daxter is still there to give his funny quips, and they both work incredibly well for the game. So I hope I cover all the points that I wanted to make with just sort of the setup for Jak 2 and how it relates to Jak and Daxter 1. The other point that I did want to touch on is I feel like Jak 2 has sort of been building a reputation for itself as like one of the hardest PS2 games like ever or whatever. And I've heard some people agree with that, and I've heard a little bit of pushback on that, like, well, it's not really that hard. But I feel like even people who say that also agree that there's some really annoying missions. So that's kind of my overall knowledge going in. I absolutely, so far, I don't feel like I can attest that I don't think the game is hard, but there definitely has been a couple times where it's been annoying. The missions themselves don't feel super long, but already the amount of times that I've like made it close to the end of a mission and then died and then had to restart the whole thing over, it does bum me out a little bit. There's not like checkpoints that just like hold your hand through every like little step. If you die in like a mission, like you have to start the entire thing over, which, on one hand kind of sucks, but on the other hand, it's like once you complete that challenge, it feels a little bit more rewarding, and it's also a product of its time, which, is not necessarily a bad thing. The one like main criticism that I've definitely had is a couple times I like try to double jump and I feel like it doesn't like read my second input properly, and then I'll just like fall into the abyss and die. And when I die for something that I don't feel is my fault, that feels a little scummy. But other times when I've died just because I was like bad at the game, that's a lot more fair, and I can accept that. So I can accept when I'm bad at the game, but I don't like having to accept that the game screwed me over because I meant to double jump and it like didn't do it properly. I think as I'm getting more of a handle of the controls, it's happening less often, but that is still something that is worth pointing out. I am playing, I believe it's just the PlayStation 2 like version ported onto PlayStation Plus Premium. So I don't know if there's a difference in the versions that would make that happen more or less. Like, I don't know if that was always a thing that happened on the original PlayStation 2. Like I said, there was a Jak and Daxter collection that was on the PS3. I'm not sure if it's been released in any other sort of form as well. So I don't know the version differences or anything like that. So maybe that plays into it, but that is the version I'm playing. If they're, you know, if you have anything to compare it to, if you have played a different version of it. So yeah, overall, I'm maybe like an hour and a half into the game, 2 hours most. Jak 2, I just do like a couple of missions and then I just kind of move on. I've been focusing more on Ghost of Tsushima. I also have more time to play over the weekends compared to during the week, and Jak 2 is a game that I started either, I think, like Sunday night or like Monday, so like it's only been played like during the week where I have less time. So I will definitely have stronger opinions, I'm sure, by next week. So that is fun. But so far, I am liking the direction that Jak 2 is going, just because it's different. I don't know if I'm going to like it more as a video game compared to the first Jak and Daxter game, but I do like the vision that they're going for. The other thing I wanted to point out is, like I said, you like can use these hovercrafts to get from like one area to the other. The map is like really big, and it seems like unnecessarily big sometimes, because every mission seems to be like the complete opposite side of the map, and like that's the only thing to go to. I haven't found too many optional stuff to like stop and do, so it's like I'm driving from one side of the city like the whole way to the other side of the city. It takes like 5 minutes to do it, or maybe it doesn't, but it feels like it does. Just to like start a mission, and then like a lot of times when you're done with that mission, you have to like manually drive back. It's not like you're getting automatically teleported back to headquarters or anything. So that is one thing that I'm, you know, intrigued by that decision, because it doesn't feel like how spaced out all the missions are seem to serve much of a purpose outside of the driving can be kind of fun. But yeah, so that's something that I'll see if that continues to be, you know, if they keep spacing out the missions so far apart from each other, or if that's only on certain missions or whatever. So yeah, that is my Jak 2 summary, which means that is a summary of all the games that I played this past week. So that is very exciting. So now I can go ahead and preview the week ahead. So as I may have mentioned, maybe not mentioned, I don't remember, as you see this video, the day before, Friday, I'm going to a concert, so that is super fun. I will be back on Saturday during the day, which is super fun. And that is, from there, I don't really have many other plans. So Saturday night and Sunday, I have like nothing going on. Monday, I took a day off from work just to like, you know, because I'm basically losing out on my Friday, I decided, hey, I'll just, you know, throw an extra vacation day for Monday. So I have Sunday and Monday where really nothing's happening, as well as like half of Saturday. That's 2.5 days of like so much time that I could dedicate to gaming, and I really, really want to. I am really realizing that most of my free time does come on the weekends, and that needs to be the time where I put the most amount of time into these video games. On an average weeknight, I can put, I would say, maybe an average of 2 hours of playtime across, you know, like any of these games. But on the weekends, if I really go for it, I mean, I really could be putting in like 8 hours a day. This weekend specifically, like I could literally probably put like 20 hours onto something. Like Ghost of Tsushima, I am at like 20 to 22 hours in that range of playtime. If I do not have at least like 35 hours of playtime by this time next week, I have failed miserably. So hopefully nothing crazy happens to my life that would prevent that from happening. But yeah, so this next week, I'm definitely going to put a lot of focus onto Ghost of Tsushima, and I really want to make a lot of progress in that game. I would like to beat it within 2 weeks, so maybe not by next week, but by the week after. I would love to have finished it, because this is not the only, you know, 40 plus hour game on this list, and, you know, I want to be able to hop around to some others as well. Jak 2, I don't know how long that's going to take. The in-game thing already says that I'm like 10% of the way through, so I don't know if that's accurate. Then, I mean, I might only spend like 10 hours on the game. So I don't really know exactly where I stand with Jak 2, if that's something I can finish over the weekend, or if I'm still going to be playing that in a week. I really don't know. But my focus is definitely going to be on both of these games. There is still a chance that if I am getting a little burnt out on both of these and I really want something new, Fable Anniversary is installed on my Xbox, so that would be the one that I would most likely pick up and play. because there's 3 of those to play, so I should probably knock one of them out. And I don't expect any other games to take up my free time. One thing worth noting is I believe it comes out Wednesday, either Wednesday or Thursday. Split Fiction, which is a game from the makers of It Takes Two, is a game that I do want to play. I need to figure out, I think I'm going to play it with my nephew, and that means that I can only play it when we're both free. But I do need to sort of figure out who I'm playing it with, how often I'm going to get to play it with, in general, and then we'll go from there. So that's not one that I'd be able to pump a bunch of time into ever, but that's a new game coming out that is worth keeping my eye on. I'm not going to add it to this list until I know for sure that I'm playing it on release date or pretty soon after. But that I can't just build around my schedule per se, because that requires the free time of another person. So that is the only new game worth bringing up for this upcoming week. But yeah, I really expect to be able to make a lot of progress between Ghost of Tsushima and Jak 2. And then maybe I'll start Fable Anniversary as well. So that is the plan moving forward. And with that, I believe I've covered everything that I wanted to for the Week 8 recap of the Backlog. Things are going well once again, and as the weather just gets nicer, things are going to get even better for me mentally. I'll be able to get out of the house more and find more stuff for me to do, which is, important. And it's good to do those things. So, yeah, if there's any questions, comments, concerns, I don't know what you'd be concerned about, but go ahead and leave them in the comments. And yeah, I'm just going to keep on plugging away at this. As always, you can leave game suggestions as you're like, hey, you see a game on here and you're like, I think you should play this. Let me know. I might just play it. That's literally why I'm playing Jak 2. I could have saved it for later, but I'm playing it now. So, that's, yeah, comment and I might, respond accordingly. So, I will go ahead and get out of here instead of continuing to ramble on. And I will see you all next week once I recap week 10 of this Backlog journey. Crazy stuff. But I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you all around. Goodbye.